Hey everybody, Milo here along with Henry, and we've got a really awesome video for you today. What's it on, Henry?
10 golf swing keys you've been told that are actually hurting your game. They are not keys, so they're not essentials.
So these are 10 myths that you probably shouldn't be trying to do necessarily. Maybe,
right,
but they're probably hurting you if you are.
Right. So let's get into it.
Sweet. So you've got a nice list there that we compiled together today.
So number one, and you hear this all the time, especially at just driving ranges for some reason, but it's keep your head down.
Yes.
Okay.
This is what I tell. I get a lot of lady students. This is what I tell them all. Keep your head down is what your husband tells you when he doesn't know anything about what actually happened that went wrong. That's his answer for everything, right? You mishit it, keep your head down.
Keep your head down.
Keep your eye on the ball. Not necessarily a fundamental. Some players do it. We discussed this in a video previously. There are definitely some players who keep their head down longer than others, but there have been some pretty darn good ones who are looking over there when they hit that thing.
Keep your eye on the ball can be a good one as long as you associate that the ball's moving with your eyes. Like if you just keep your eye on the ball there, well, that just is the same thing as keeping your head down. So it's okay to let your head move and watch the ball come off the face, or even have your head move ahead of it if that matches up for you.
And the other one that kind of goes hand in hand with this one is keep your head still. Most professional golfers and most really good players, their heads move somewhat. Yeah, they stay relatively still, but there's definitely they're not trying not to move.
I would say in the backswing, I like to have the feeling, or my students, where they have their eye sort of on the ball versus turning off so much.
And I don't mind if their chin moves a little bit.
Yeah, because it's staying on a plane.
If it stays on plane, I just don't want their eyes to move off plane.
Yep.
Because this might actually free you to be able to turn a little farther.
Right.
Because I can only turn to there if I keep my head here, so my eyes might move a little that way. Not necessarily a fundamental to keep your head on the ball all the time.
Yep. Okay, let's go to number 2. Keep your lead arm, in our case, right-handed players, left arm straight.
Yeah, so that's
not true.
Not true.
You see it with Lee Westwood, Jordan Spieth. Lee Westwood's impact's like this, whereas his left arm has quite a bit of bend in it.
Yeah, I was just looking at a few gears from different professionals, and it's pretty common to have the exact same amount of bend in the left and the right arm at impact, which is around 20 degrees. So your arms look like this.
But not just impact and follow through. How about John Daly at the top of his swing?
Yeah, my backswing. My left arm is bent drastically at the top of my backswing.
So a lot of you at home are trying to keep the left arm straight, which is creating a lot of tension and taking distance and speed out of your swing.
Tension's a killer. So the left arm does stay relatively straight. And the reason it does is that the left hand is higher up the golf club than the right. So when my right wrist hinges, that moves this end of the club farther away, which straightens my arm out. But my arm is very loose. There's no tension in it. So it definitely straightens some amount, but it's not pushed straight and locked out.
Right.
That's death.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Number 3, have the V's line up for good grip.
So make the V's both point the same way.
So the V is what are between our thumb and our pointer finger, right? On both hands.
So that's could be true, could be not true, right? Some players have them pretty close to lined up. I would say most players probably actually have their left hand stronger than their right.
Yeah.
So their left hand, this V might actually be pointing over here somewhere, and their right hand V might be pointing up toward their right shoulder. So they don't have to match. Not necessarily.
Yep.
Okay. We don't need to go very far on that one.
Cool. Keep your lead foot, in our case, our left foot, planted in the golf swing.
Well, I was doing a little study on this and looking at the all-time greats. There's really only one of them who kept their left foot planted.
When you say left foot, like we're talking like left heel?
Left heel on the ground.
Yeah.
So only really one of the all-time greats kept their left heel on the ground. He happens to be really great, and he was really great fairly recently, Tiger. But if you go back through all the next 20, it's So Jack is still ahead of him on majors, but everybody else who's on that list with lots of wins, that left heel's coming up.
Yep.
All of them. So it's not necessary, if all the best ones ever didn't keep it down, I would say it's not a fundamental.
Well, and then when you look at the follow through and finish, especially modern day players, their left foot doesn't stay planted there either. They're like, you see some of these guys like Jordan Spieth where his left foot's like this after impact.
Well, yeah, and the guys who hit it the farthest, their feet might even both be in the air. You know,
Yep.
The guys who are smashing it, they're jumping up in the air.
Bubba.
Oh yeah, Justin Thomas.
Yep. All right, let's go to the next one. Keep your knees flexed.
So this locks you up and makes it so you can't turn in the backswing. So if you try to maintain the same amount of flex all the way back, your hips can't turn very far.
Yep.
So what we see from the greatest players ever, the trail leg in the backswing is losing some flex, the lead leg's gaining some.
Yeah.
And then in the downswing they gain the flex back, and in the follow through the lead leg loses some flex and the trail leg gains some. It's symmetrical.
Now, as always, there are some exceptions. There's usually at least some extending of this right leg. But you look at like Koepka or Anthony Kim back in the day, they were, they kind of kept the knee flex. But
yeah, they're from a little different era too, though. They're from the era where we were teaching restrict, right? We're trying not to let our hips turn and to turn our body as hard as we could.
Right.
We've actually discovered that that's probably not optimal. We probably should stop that. But they learn how to play that way. You're probably not going to want to change them.
Yep.
They might gradually change over time as they age, but
yep.
We won't probably ever see Anthony Kim. But
so a little flex set up, and then as in the backswing, the left leg increases flex a little bit,
and
right
the
one
right leg
decreases.
loses. So yeah.
And then
the opposite on the other side. Gain flex, and then decrease flex, increase flex.
There's plenty of other videos on that. We've
Yep.
got that all sealed up for you guys. Number, what one are we on? 6. Push off your trail side. Gotta get that weight shift, the weight transfer, right?
Now, I will say that there may be a push off the trail side, but it doesn't happen when people think it does. It happens much later.
Very late.
Yes, and I would say it's more of a reaction to the front side turning around. So like a hitter in baseball, when they plant this front side and they start to push,
pressure shooting back out.
they're pushing this back this way, and this hip goes around so much that it actually pulls this hip forward. And so your back leg has to push a little bit so you don't look like this.
Yeah. If anything, it might just be your big toe pushing up onto the top. That's it.
Yeah, so you're not really pushing off of your back side, at least not early, because if you do, you're out here like this and you got problems.
So again, we've talked about this before, is like a good feeling at home is you come off your left heel, don't keep your left foot planted, right? And then plant the left heel. That's kind of that dropping into the left side or recentering. That's kind of the feeling versus pushing off the right side.
Exactly.
So, number 7, roll arms over to release the club head.
Oh yeah, that's a common one.
Make sure you square that face up.
Got to make sure we roll this so we get it squared up enough, right? Because you keep hitting it over there to the right, so you better roll it more.
Now it works for some players. We've seen it throughout history.
It's a matchup.
But where is it coming from?
Yeah, it's a matchup that if there were suboptimal things happening earlier, like the shaft is coming down more steep, face more open, and you're good, you're going to figure out how to get that on the ball square.
Yep.
Phil Mickelson comes to mind.
Vijay Singh was pretty good.
Vijay Singh, they're really good at playing the game. Is it the optimal way to do it? Well, maybe for them, but I would say that watch what's happening in modern game. You're seeing a lot less players with that pattern.
Yep. Face more stable.
Face is a lot
rate
more.
Of closure, something you hear a lot of now.
So now the face is working more square to the arc. Square to the arc.
Wrists working this way.
Wrists working more this way, not nearly as much twist in them.
Yep.
more like a baseball swing. You know, you don't see baseball players rolling that over. Sure, it might roll over, but it happens over here, right?
Yeah.
So.
All right, number 8. Hit down on the ball.
That's a great one. It happens when the ball's on the ground.
Well, I should say the first word you hear in that sentence
is hit. Yes. So that causes people to make this kind of a motion to try to get the club down onto the golf ball. Now, in reality, is the club approaching the ball down when the ball's on the ground? Yes. The hands are actually going up though. So they're getting to a point later in the arc, so the hands are working up and the club is starting to work down, creating kind of a little flat spot down there at the bottom.
Yeah.
To me, it's kind of a bad word, trying to hit down on it. Sure, you're catching it in the downswing, but really what you're making is you're making the club head go in a circle, and the apex of the circle is happening just after you hit the ball, right? You're not trying to hit down.
Oh.
Okay.
Easy enough, right?
Yeah.
Number 9, swing easy and grip it softly.
Yeah, so I like the feeling of low tension in my grip and in my wrists and arms. But in reality, if you measured the pressure that's in most really good players' grip,
well, especially at full speed.
At full speed, they're gripping it fairly tightly, but with supple wrists and arms, right?
Yeah, I would say if anything, the tension is maybe just in the fingers a little bit.
Yeah, so and they've done some studies on this. Most really good players have very strong grip strength.
Well, this is why you hear like Lydia Ko's been doing like rock climbing, and some of these players are doing rock, so they build up some of that.
Get some strength in their hands, because the stronger your hands are, what feels like very low grip strength to you is very secure.
Yeah.
So now swing easy.
When it's breezy?
Maybe. To keep the spin off the ball, but how many people do you know who are really high level players who don't hit it very hard?
Well, and the thing is too, the easier as you swing, and you talked about this in a lesson the other day I watched you give, on short game it's great because it allows you to kind of use some of the bounce, you can let the club head release a little bit sooner, but when you swing really easy, a lot of times that club starts getting past you.
Yep.
So if anything, sometimes keeping the speed up and rotating through the shot, that keeps the face stable, and you strike it a little bit better. So. And
most really good players are hitting it pretty darn hard. I know when I'm out playing with driver, I'm generally hitting it, not as hard as I can, but not that far from it.
Yeah.
I hit it straighter when I hit it hard, and I would say most professionals, if you give them a choice, they're going to hit the shorter club and they're going to hit it hard when they're nervous. They're not going to try to hit it soft, feather it in there.
Yeah. I mean, we talk a lot about building up or laddering. Like that's kind of different where you're starting to work on something. But once you've kind of, fine-tuned it, speed it up and test it out, because a lot of times when you speed things up, you can actually take some of the doubt out as well.
Oh yeah.
So.
But the problem most people have when they speed it up the wrong stuff. So they try to hit it harder with this. So maybe
they try to hit down,
and maybe they are better off trying to hit it easy. But as you learn how to swing better, swinging faster actually creates more stability, and you hit it straighter.
Yeah. All right. Bend from hips and keep back straight for athletic posture. You might even hear like stick your butt out.
Like this? The old club down the back deal?
Yeah.
Yeah, no thanks. I've also looked through all the best players in history, and most of them set up kind of rounded off like this. Now we do have some anomalies these days. Adam Scott, maybe Rory McIlroy are a little bit more.
I mean, Keegan Bradley's pretty bent over, but bending a little more bent over from the hips, that could be biomechanically a good matchup for him.
Yeah.
But I don't see Keegan in there like this either. He's also, I mean,
he's more like that.
Right.
He's round, but he's pretty bent over.
Yeah.
But generally, we want a little flexion in the thoracic spine. We want to have that nice, relaxed posture. We don't want to have that rigid, flat back, pelvis tilted down too much posture. If you want to early extend, that's a perfect recipe for it.
Okay.
Is that all of them?
There's probably 100 more, but we did 10, so I think we'll stick with that for now. But yeah, I mean, I think that, look, everyone has these ideas, and these have been sort of said through hundreds of years of golf. Like, keep your head down. That one always comes up, and
Oh yeah.
you know, oftentimes it can lead to some issues for us in the golf swing. Some of them could potentially help, but more often than not, I would say.
Yeah, more often than not, those are not the right things to be putting in somebody's head.
No. So, anyways, if you guys like this video, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell icon so you get notified when a new video is up. And make sure you check out the link, milolinesgolf.com. We're doing monthly analyses, and we have a subscription base for you there with extra content and more one-on-one approach. So make sure you check out that as well. And we'll see you next time.